Welcome back to another episode of Circling Back. This is where we normally revisit some Sunday sermons and readdress things that need more explanation. But today, we're doing something a little different. I'm your host, Blake Hardcastle. I'm the equipping pastor at Grand Parkway, and I'm with Neil, who is the subliminal voice in your head, but also he's our lead pastor since 2006. And today, we are talking about a topic that really is the roles of women at Grand Parkway.
Yes.
And so some of the things we'll get to is answering questions like, can women teach in mixed gender settings? And what's the basis for our position that we take?
Yes.
And so we're going to
Let's answer this question here so I can stop being asked. Stopped in the lobby.
Okay.
Stop. And by the way, I'm late because Mike told me, can you wear just a one-color shirt? Stop wearing shirts that look like you got them at Perry Stone's garage sale.
Oh, okay. Now, you didn't tell me that.
Like, okay.
Maybe we can't have competing, battling patterns.
Yes.
So the
Talk to me, Goose.
First question is, where currently in our church are women serving really well?
I think women are serving well everywhere. When women serve, it's not out of guilt or duty or obligation. It's out of a sense of calling or, hey, this is my jam.
Yeah.
Kids ministry is my jam. Preschool, what a greeting. So I think they're serving. I think men are serving well in areas. I think they could step up in some areas.
Okay. Let's talk about that.
Okay. Let's go there. You want to go there? I would say. You're saying where could they step up?
Let's talk about men. Where could men be stepping up?
I think three places. First of all, in our Sunday morning adult Bible studies, I think I'd like to see men leading their wives to say, hey, big church is great, but we're in a room, with hundreds of people.
Yeah.
Let's come together and worship together as a family, and then let's let our kids go to their stuff, and let's go to Bible study. We're in a smaller environment where we experience community, make friends, meet people in our same age and stage. So our Sunday morning ABS, I call them adult Bible studies, in the home. Spiritual leaders of just initiating, pursuing people in their home, just in a spiritual way. Just, hey, set the tone, lead your family. And then the third one, in our kids building. We are shaping the ecclesiology of that generation. And too many kids grow up and they think, oh, church is all about women. It's women. I remember going to Mexico years ago on a mission trip, and a 17-year-old kid said, I'm not coming to your thing because church is for old women and little kids. Some of that seeped into a men's mentality in America. It's got, and I just think 8-year-olds need to look and go, oh, there's a really strong masculine man who teaches me Sunday school every Sunday. Okay, maybe this isn't just for my grandma and my mom.
Now, this person might be embarrassed me saying his name. I think Paul Fevergen is a guy who does this well.
Oh, he crushes it.
So he's
into jiu-jitsu and rides a motorcycle, by the way, kids.
He's a guy where if a kid keeps giving church answers, they know, look, one more church answer, we're all doing push-ups.
Wow.
And they respond wonderfully to it.
Oh, absolutely.
And
yes.
And
that's Paul exercising his priesthood.
Right.
Other men, I think a lot of men that are quote unquote shy, I think would crush it in there.
And kids.
Because they're like, I'm not competing with other men. I can trust what's happening now. Yeah. And they just come out and go.
Yeah. So one of the things that would be great to come out of this is if we had a bunch of men say, I think this is saying something to me.
Absolutely.
Krista, Nancy, I'm ready.
Yeah. And it's my prayer.
Yes.
I prayed for a long time, but yes.
Prayer that men would rise up.
Men would rise up because, again, I'm not just volunteering in the kids ministry. You are shaping the ecclesiology of the next generation, the theology of church.
Right. They
should not grow up and think church is for old women and little kids or for women and little kids.
Yeah.
The men are out making the bacon and making money and coming home, like the hunter-gatherer. No, when I was 7, my Sunday school teacher changed my life the way he talked about Jesus in the Bible. A 23-year-old should say that as he proposes to as he's talking to his girlfriend who becomes his wife. He's like, how'd you get so solid? Oh, when I was 7, my Sunday school teacher was a man that I just admired. So probably more of an answer than you want on that.
No, we want all that.
I'll drink now, you talk. I'll drink alone. It'll be like high school all over again.
I'll ask one more follow-up with that there. So let's say a man's listening and he's like, my kids are grown out of the house. The whole spiritual leading you're talking about, I might have missed that. Here's another chance for you.
This is your do-over.
Here's a chance to do it over.
The merry-go-round's coming around again, and the little animals are going up and down the unicorn, and God's going, get on, buddy, just pick one. Good. Ride the elephant, ride the skunk. Let's go. We need you.
All right, question 2. So now we'll get to it. So the difference between churches that do or don't have women teaching in co-ed settings. We're, and we'll talk about this later, but we're not talking about preaching the sermon. We're talking about other teaching environments.
Yes.
So that difference largely comes from this passage in 1 Timothy.
Oh, I knew you were going to bring it up. Go ahead.
Chapter 2, 9 through 15. So maybe one of us should read this passage.
Yeah, you have the Bible on your phone. I didn't bring it. I was running late.
I should have come more prepared.
That's okay. That's okay. 1 Timothy 2, 9 to 15. Great passage. Now, by the way, I'm going to warn you, this will probably be my longest answer. Give me some runway. I got a lot to cover here.
Yep. All the answers won't be this long.
No, this will be like a thesis, and then the other answers will be short.
And some of the context is this is the last thing we know that Paul wrote.
Yes.
This is kind of from...
To a very problematic church. Go ahead.
Yes. And so, yes. So let's start here. So Paul is writing to Timothy. I'll start at verse 9, going through verse 15. And he says...
Don't ask me about having babies. Go ahead. No, we'll get to that later.
Well, I'll start at verse 8. I desire that in every place men should pray, lifting up holy hands, without anger, without quarreling. Likewise, also, women should be adorn themselves in respectable apparel, modesty, self-control, not with braided hair, gold or pearls or costly attire, but with what's proper for women who profess godliness, with good works. Let a woman learn quietly and with all submissiveness. Now here's the
here's the dagger.
Yeah, I do not permit a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man. Rather, she is to remain quiet. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not deceived, but the woman was deceived and became a transgressor. Yet she will be saved through childbearing, the question you don't want to answer, if they continue in faith and love and holiness with self-control. Okay, so let's start with...
Just ask me whatever questions you got. Yeah. Ask me all of them. I'll just... like Eminem, I'll just freestyle on the mic.
So how do our elders understand? What's the historical context of what's happening? How do we understand what he's saying?
Great place to start. To grasp what's being said, you need to look at it in light of the cultural situation that's taken place in that specific church that this epistle is addressing. You got to look at the rest of 1 Timothy as well as other New Testament writings to see, is this restriction a universal reality, meaning Paul commands all women everywhere to be silent.
All churches, all times.
Yeah, timeless truth.
Yep.
Or is this, is he saying, hey, all women everywhere be silent, or is it written to address a specific incident within a specific church? We believe that upon examination, look at the context of 1 Timothy, as well as the historic and cultural circumstances, it does not support a universal restriction of women talking in church. Okay. And now I want to go just a little bit into the background, because if you read all the 1 Timothy, there's nothing, I think it's like 6 chapters.
Right. Yes.
But if you read it, you'll see that false teaching was a big problem for this church. False teachers preyed on wealthy women who stood out from the crowd. By the way they dressed. That became a distraction. That's why he tells them, hey, don't braid your hair or gold jewelry. We don't stand at the door and say, hey, girls, you got French braids, go back.
If a woman comes here Sunday and she has braided hair and pearls, is she violating this?
Harlot, go home, Jezebel. No, we don't do that. It was a distraction, because here's the thing. Most of Paul's concern around this topic was not about women talking in church, but it was about false teaching and false teachers. If you look back at the very beginning of the epistle, 1 Timothy chapter 1, verses 3 to 7, you see he's passing on the normal introduction, and he's getting right to the problem of false teachers. After addressing them, he moves on to speak to these same women by instructing them to learn quietly. The main problem, we as elders, we read these things, we come together, we talk, what about this? The main problem Paul seems to be addressing in this passage is women who caused a disruption in the worship service with their behavior. And what was their behavior? Their problematic behavior and their appearance. Their behavior was they were new converts. Yep. A lot of them came, if you remember what's in Ephesus, is this temple of who? Artemis.
Right.
Yes. Yep. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. Mm-hmm. Well, a lot of these women came out of temple prostitution. Not all of them. We got to be careful. We paint women with a broad brush.
Artemis is all the statues are seductive.
Oh,
yes.
She's got 40 appendages. Yep. And it's fertility and sexual perversion, all this stuff. And so they come and they made worship about their learning experience. They would just disrupt the service. And they would ask questions. And Paul's like, be quiet. I don't want you talking, okay? Now, here's the thing we also miss. Back then, the only gathering space they had was corporate worship, which was governed by bishops, presbyteros, elders, overseers. There was nothing else. Okay, there was no Bible study on Sunday morning. There was no midweek classes. There was no youth ministry, kids ministry, preschool ministry, none of that. Okay, so what you see quickly in the church at Ephesus is, because he says to the men, I want you to pray with raised hands and blah blah blah, and likewise he gets to the women. Again, if you just read the thing, you see pretty quickly that Ephesus was a rowdy bunch of men and women that Paul had to put some strict measures in place just to regain control of corporate worship. It's about, or if you read it, one of the subtitles, orderly worship.
Right.
It's not about, hey, we got to subdue women because they're trying to steal our authority. This, we believe, and we understand, it's a better word, that this is why the restrictions were not just directed at women, but at men as well, because the whole thing was kind of unruly. But again, the primary problem is not women speaking, but it's women trying to learn in a public place, like, hey, asking questions, speaking out, and it's like, hey, be quiet. It'd be like on a Sunday morning. We've all been in church where a toddler starts talking, and I can see all y'all's faces when I'm preaching, and people are just like, hello, get the kid out. Right. Somebody wants to go to the lobby. And occasionally I've had to say, hey, somebody wants to visit the lobby. And everybody kind of chuckles, nervous laughter, like, amen, get the kid out. Same principle. Paul's just saying, hey, you are becoming a disruption in corporate worship. And read all, don't just read 1 Timothy chapter 2, verses 8 to 15. Read all of it, and it becomes, one of our elders said, well, yeah, it's kind of apparent when you read it in context, but we don't like context because context doesn't let us twist the Bible and make it say what we want it to say.
So this would be analogous to, well, I would say the fact that happens so infrequently of a kid, you're going to take this kid out here, that happens so infrequently. The fact that Paul's addressing this meant this is a problem for you guys.
Yes.
It's almost like the person
because here's the thing, they're so eager. They came out of such a pagan, debauched background. They were so eager, they wanted to learn everything on the first Sunday.
Right.
And so they wouldn't shut up. And he's just like, hey, be quiet. Stop. He also later tells the Judaizers, you be quiet. But we don't wait at the door for Judaizers.
Right. There's a person I sometimes watch movies with, and they want to ask me questions like, who is this person? What are they going to do? Where are they going to from?
Jenny, shut up.
We're going to find out together as we keep watching this movie.
Just be quiet. And didn't Paul say, I heard Annie and Amanda in the kitchen today laughing, and I walked in and I said, doesn't the Bible say women should keep shouting in the church? And they both were like, shut up. It's probably one of the most misappropriated verses in the Bible.
Yeah.
And it's done a lot of damage to women. But anyway, you had other questions.
Well,
ask.
So the elders, the specific words in this text of teach, authority, and remain silent. What do our elders understand these to mean? And I think part of this is good intention of we don't want to get something wrong.
Yeah.
But sometimes in our effort to not get something wrong, we actually get it wronger than we would have.
Oh, yeah. We invent a whole new level of wrongness. I think those are great words, but before you get to that word, you have to translate the word permit.
Yes.
I do not permit. Or one translation says I do not allow. I study and preach from the ESV, English Standard Version. I do not permit. Permit, I'll start there. Permit, the verb used here is the Greek word epitrepo. And it basically, not just the word, how are you telling us that? Here's why. Because it's not just that word and what it means, it's the tense. The tense of that verb in the Greek is a present active indicative tense, which means Paul's not saying, I will not, I will not never permit or allow, but rather the present active indicative is I am not now permitting.
So for our grammar nerds, if it was going to be the other one, is there a different tense?
It would be a different tense.
Okay, the perfect tense or something like that.
Yeah. And it would say, once for all, I do not now, nor will I ever.
Right.
But the tense, and I had a Greek professor that would hold the Nestle Greek text and rub it like he was petting a kitten. And I'm like, that's kind of creepy. But he would say, men, don't read the word, feel the tense. And I was like, you make out with that thing. It's kind of creepy.
But Greek is a language, like our language, English is inflected. Yeah. We say what we're doing by how we... But Greek, like many languages, the Spanish, the word ending means everything. Yes. And so this is not just something you're grabbing, oh, here's my little I'm on base. It's this actually, Paul intended something here.
It's the way with everything. It's like, I beat this word every time I see it in the Bible. I'm pounding on it, the word Zoe. If people understood that Jesus didn't come just so you could be forgiven and go to heaven when you die. Like Sunday when Ian was preaching, I was like, in this present age, talk about it in this present age. The native environment of the Christian life is in this present age, in this present darkness, Ian. And he's up there, oh, I'm so happy to be up here. And, he did nothing wrong. Some of it's just, but But it's the same thing. When you understand that, it's like your eyes get open. When you understand this, I do not permit. He says, I'm not saying I will not never permit or allow, but rather I am not now permitting. Why? Because these people have to learn. The implication is that Paul's concern is not with women teaching, but with women teaching false doctrines or women being so eager that they become false teachers themselves. That's a bigger issue. So permit, teach, it simply means to teach or really to discharge the office of a teacher. The responsibility of a teacher. Okay. That's what to teach means. Authority, I think it was the one you said.
Authority,
Authority. I think the Greek, again, is helpful here because the Greek word for authority here is autheniteo, and it refers to one who was with his own hands kills another, one who acts on his own authority, autocratic, an absolute master. Think of what the women were trying to do to the worship service and that Paul's writing to the church at Ephesus. They're trying to take authority. They're trying to say, hey, well, what about this? And what does this mean? And am I forgiven? I did this and I was, and it's just like, stop. It goes on, the definition: to govern, exercise dominion over. This is what these women were trying to do. Exercise dominion over the worship service. And Paul says, I do not want you talking. Be quiet, okay? It's autocratic authority. It's not fitting for women or men, for that matter. But again, they come to worship. They disrupt it, make it all about their questions. And so this is the picture of authority. And women in the church at Ephesus, new converts, ungrounded in the truth, full of questions. They disrupt and they try to justify it by saying, well, we're just eager to learn. That's why he says, learn at home.
He's not saying don't learn.
Yeah, don't learn. Yeah. Hey, this is not the environment. It's like someone saying in the middle of preaching, hey, pastor, could you tell my husband to be a better husband? Lady, would you knock that off? That's embarrassing. Don't do that. Don't put your business out in the street. Everybody in the room would cringe. Like, ooh, that didn't. Or if a woman said, honey, I think that last point was for you. Everybody would be like, hurry, Neil, get done. Same thing. And so they want to take authority. And then I think the last one was remain quiet.
Yes.
In the Greek, that means to remain quiet. Shut your yapper is what it means. Again, he's speaking to a specific problem. Let me say it like this. I keep saying it over. I'll just try to bring it into the present. Think of it like this. If you believe the passage forbids women from teaching and they're to remain quiet in the church, because he says, I do not, women are, then you've got a bigger problem than women. Should women teach an adult Bible study or a midweek class? You've got a compromised and a contradiction-filled Bible that can't be trusted.
Because this is happening other places.
And I just want to read some of them.
Okay.
Don't listen to me. Be like the Bereans. Okay. Again, I said earlier, on questions like this, it's helpful to look at the overall biblical testimony on the topic. All right. And so here's some places in Scripture that cause us to come to this conclusion as elders. We try to be. Hey, let's go to the Word. Acts chapter 2, verse 17 and 18. Paul says that the prophetic vision of Joel is coming to pass in the early church. He said that the Holy Spirit's being poured out on all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. When this happens, both men and women will prophesy. Hard to prophesy without speaking. Okay? Acts chapter 21, verse 19, there's a report of 4 daughters of Philip who all function in prophecy, which would have been difficult to do in complete silence. And where did they prophesy? In the church. Romans 16, verses 1 to 6, Paul sends greetings to friends and co-laborers in the faith. And he even mentions many women who have been involved in leadership and service to his work. One of those listed is a lady named Junia, or Junius, in one translation, who is listed or referred to as an apostle. It's impossible to picture someone being an apostle and never speaking.
And being a mime.
But but here's my last one. I'm not doing sword drill where I just club you into. But people are like, where'd you get that? I've never said to anybody, where did you get women should be? Because I know where they got it from a mistranslation, but this is the same guy, Paul, 1 Corinthians 11:5. He gives specific instructions to women regarding the proper etiquette to follow when they pray and prophesy. How are you going to be quiet and pray and prophesy in church? Not a women's Bible study or a cover dish luncheon or a chat and chow or whatever women do. He says when they pray and prophesy, indicating he has no objection to a woman speaking, praying, or participating in prophecy during worship as long as it's done appropriately. These passages for us attest to the fact that 1 Timothy 2, 8 to 15 should not be interpreted as a universal mandate for women to be silent in the church or restricts them from teaching in a Bible study or a midweek class or whatever. That's where we get all that.
If it were to be universal, we're actually violating this
Yes.
every Sunday.
Yeah, if it were to be universal, if you say, hey man, well, no, now to be clear, we do not believe, we don't see in Scripture a woman being an elder or a woman, because an elder, overseer, teaches, preaches.
Right.
We don't see that. And so, and I've said to people, because I got friends like, oh man, you. I'll tell you what, okay, if you're going to do that, because it doesn't say women, I forbid women to teach out authority, and women are to keep silent. It doesn't say women are to keep silent if they want to teach an adult Bible study on Sunday morning. No, in the church.
In the church.
And so here's what we got to do. If you believe this, and don't send me your favorite TV or internet preacher or some sermon series or article.
Right.
I'm not going to read it.
That's not what we're talking about.
I'm not going to read it.
Yeah.
Here's the only condition I'll read it upon. But first of all, if you believe that, then what we've got to do is we've got to get rid of all the women that volunteer in preschool, women, and youth. Got to go.
Because they're teaching in church.
They're speaking in church.
Yep.
They're using their voice. Women are to be silent. You can't cherry pick it and say, well, what? No, this is why women can't teach. Again, we're not talking preaching Sunday morning. We're not talking pastor in a church. Well, I don't see that. Women being a woman pastor, like lead pastor. But to get rid of them, doesn't stop there. Lindsay Freilich, that led worship this past Sunday, she got to go.
She even talked some.
Shut up, Lindsay.
Didn't just sing.
Jesse's got to go.
Yep.
Alex has got to go.
Yep.
Krista, the helps other, got to go.
Yep.
Speaking of Krista and Nancy got to go. Annie's got to be fired. We got to fire Marcy.
Yep.
Good. She can come home and cook more and clean the house more. Let's live. Let's be as strict in our application as we are stupid in our interpretation. Now, my wife is like, please don't say stupid. I'm like, it's stupid. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
But it gets worse.
Okay.
All those positions have to be filled by men.
That's right.
The church would close tomorrow because men don't volunteer. And here's what we've done. And this is a man saying this, and this is embarrassing. We've relegated women to the roles we don't want, and we've used the Bible to justify it. Hey, you go down and play with them kids. That's women's work. But when it comes to being in the limelight teaching, that's men. And right here, by God, it says right here in the King James 16:11, good enough for the Apostle Paul, good enough for me. I forbid women to keep silent. He doesn't put a condition on that. Well, that means just in the, no, in the church. So wherever there's an expression of the church happening, women are forbidden from talking.
And so the position of our church, which we believe, this is the clear reading of Scripture, is this is not forbid women.
No.
Let me unpack a couple things in this text, and we're going to circle back to getting more granularity over distinction between preaching and teaching. Verses 13 and 14 talks about creation order, Eve being deceived. What's going on here? Paul's chastising these people. We're going to have some Bible readers and go, you should have asked him about this. All right, well, I'm asking him.
Me about that. What are you asking me again?
So
about the created order?
13 and 14, he says, hey, church, don't do this.
He appeals to the created order.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of people say, well, he appeals to this is not, I think he's forbidding women from being elders there because, again, the only authoritative teaching role in the church back then was that of an elder, an overseer. There was nothing else. And so he appeals to this thing to say, hey, Adam was created first, blah, blah, blah. I believe two things, though, not just biblically, but culturally. Two things come into play here. First, Paul quotes Genesis in order, I believe part of it, it's not his only motivation, but part of it is to counter this erroneous notions of female superiority that were present in the Ephesian culture. Because in Ephesus, again, the temple of Artemis was there, one of the seven wonders of the ancient world. And the temple culture was very matriarchal. And so very women-dominant, women-centered, women are great, men are, and so they want to bring that to the church with them. And he's like, no, look here. Look at the church, the people have authority. You can't come in and disrupt our worship service with all your squawking questions. Learn in quiet submission, reverence at home. The created order, Adam was created first, blah, blah, blah. And so he doesn't just, if you pull that out just for no reason, it's like, whoa, bro, that's kind of heavy-handed. He's speaking with something. But also, secondly, I believe he's making a case against women being elders because, again, the only role present in the New Testament church was that of elder or overseer. This is what it's culture, context, and I'm bringing the historical biblical text to bear on that. Okay, that's what he's saying.
There also was an officer role of deacon, which there is at least one woman named as
Phoebe.
a deacon.
But by the way, I've had people say to me, well, that she was a deaconess. And I just chuckle because there's no such word in the Greek. That's like saying your wife's a teacher, right?
Yes, right.
But Jenny said she's not a teacher. She's a teacherette.
Or a ranchette or a cigarette.
Yeah, she's a teacherette. Yeah, just a little one. She doesn't have the teaching gift of men, but you have to tie yourself in knots. And now let's talk about the childbirth.
Yeah, childbirth. What's this all about? That they'll be saved through childbirth?
Yes. Yeah. The most important word, I've got 2 daughters, and they used to read the Bible, just ask their dad questions. Madison came tearing out of her bedroom one time with her finger on it. What is this, Dad? If you don't have babies, you're going to hell. And she's like, and I said, babe, it's not, the most important word is not childbirth or saved. It's the word through. And she kind of looked at me and she said, what? Being saved through childbirth doesn't mean that giving birth is a woman's means of salvation. Basically, to understand this verse, you have to go back to Genesis 3, about verse 16, where you see the consequences of the curse for women. He says, I will greatly multiply your pain in childbirth. Remember that?
Yep.
He said, men, hey, you got to work the ground. That's the curse manifestation in you. Curse manifestation in women is, hey, that I'm going to greatly increase. Childbirth was painful, but not. We have epidurals because of the fall.
Right.
Because I've never had a baby, but it looks painful.
All our problems, thank you, Adam and Eve.
But God says, I'll surely multiply your pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. But again, I said to him, hey, the text says you shall be, yet she will be saved through childbearing, not by childbearing. Childbearing doesn't save you. Otherwise, you've eradicated the need for Jesus and a Savior. But in other words, God is simply saying, hey, it's going to be really painful, more painful than it should have been, but I'm going to be with you through it. And I'm going to see you through it. I remember when Marcy was pregnant with Madison, older man said to me, he said, no, boy, you know, the closest a woman comes to dying is when she gives birth. That was not comforting to me. I was just like, don't scare me.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to happen to my wife.
That's right.
But it's painful. It looks painful. It sounds painful.
Yep.
So that's what he's saying there.
Yeah. Let's get a little more granularity. I think it's interesting before. If the Apostle Paul could send us a text, hey, everybody, and address how our Christian subculture has applied this text, what might he say to us?
I think it'd be that, first of all, that laughing, crying emoji. It would be that. And he would say, your preferences are showing, fellas. You're stretching what I said in a context that did not exist back then, and you're doing it for your own purposes, and you're doing this without even acknowledging the context I was living in and dealing with. You have no idea.
Yeah.
And so don't make my experience a universal reality.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's helpful. Let's get a little more granularity and clarity. So we believe the Bible affirms both men and women should teach or misgender settings.
Yes.
Not necessarily every man, every woman.
No.
So let me ask this. Is a co-ed group healthier if it's led by both men and women?
Yes, because you hear both sets of giftedness. You hear this masculine set of gifts and this feminine set of gifts. For women to teach, they don't have to be masculine.
Okay. That's a mistake for them, actually.
Yes.
To try and impersonate a man.
Yeah. Well, it's just like Ian asked me, last week, any advice for Sunday? I said, just be Ian. Don't try to be Neil. If you get up there and try to be Neil, our people are like, what are you doing? We get enough of that guy. We want you.
Yeah.
Same thing. We need women. They're just comfortable in their femininity, just being a woman.
Yeah. The historically at Grand Parkway, have women led in the capacity of teaching adult Bible studies?
Yeah. I was a member here before I became the pastor. And Marcy and I would go to, because the preaching from the pulpit wasn't great back then.
Okay.
It was like fill in the blank. And we went to Tommy Hammer's class and another class, and one of the Sunday school teachers in the other class was a woman.
Okay.
And she was a good teacher. And I was like, her name was Sibby Danella. I don't know whatever happened to her, but she was thorough, and she did the work. And and so this is not new. We didn't
this is not a new belief of the elders.
Yeah, we read a book 9 months ago.
How to grow your church through women teaching.
Yeah.
Okay. Why are we dedicating a whole circle back to this topic?
Because we started getting asked, when Julian came on, we want our adult Bible studies on Sunday morning. That's where you get it's slower environment. You can ask questions like, not over there. We're not the church at Ephesus. I'm not going to let you ask questions while I'm preaching. But people have said, I wish you'd take a whole service. Let's ask questions. Let's have lunch. But we want people to get involved in smaller environments. We used to call it Sunday school. We call it adult Bible study. And we believe those are mixed environments. We used to have a women's class here and a man's class here. Right. And if there were 25 people in each class, 18 of them were married to each other. We don't have space for this. This is the bad use of space. And so, again, we want to capitalize. I think in the small environment, adult Bible study, you have socialization and transformation. Yeah. Both of those are a need for people in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s. You need socialization and you need transformation. Why not put them both together?
Yeah. What can happen in adult Bible study can't all happen in the big room.
No, and shouldn't happen.
No. Right. And inversely, the small room shouldn't look like the big room.
No, not at all. Because if you're trying to do the same thing in these small environments as over there, why come over here?
Right.
Well, I just heard a sermon. I don't want another lecture.
Paying that guy. Yeah.
We want to be able to push back and say, hey, hey, Hank, you said blah blah blah. What about this? Well, and Hank throws. I don't know. What do you guys think? And then it's like volleyball. That's good.
Yeah. Are we merely permitting women to teach, or are we actually pursuing them? Because there's a difference.
Did you say permitting?
Permitting, yeah. Oh. Paul says, I don't permit just this one time.
Okay.
Are we like, okay, we permit you? Like, no, we're pursuing you.
No, we are pursuing them simply because permitting, this is, my mind's crazy. I don't want to get in trouble with this, but I'm going to say it. After George Floyd died, every white person went and stood by a black person and got their picture taken. We just objectified black people. And I just thought it was pathetic. And it was just like, look. And then every commercial that come on was a mixed race couple. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, if I'm African-American, black, how do you identify? What are the right PC phrases this week? I have friends, Hispanic, Asian, black, white, whatever. I just kept being friends with my people I was friends with. But my black friends were like, oh, yeah. Yeah, white people come up and hand me a $20 bill. I'm like, I don't need your money. I got a job. Oh, man, I take that. I told them Black Lives Matter built them out of millions. Why don't you? Man, I don't want white people. But we can do the same thing with women, is my point. And we're not. We've always had. We want that. We don't want just women teachers. Like, hey, if this represents, I'm not here. We got 6 or 8 gifted women teachers in our church. We're not just talking to them and saying, hey, don't tell anybody. No, we're one of the reasons we're doing a podcast is, and we want our whole church to know this is what we believe. It's what we've always believed. And we're not objectifying women. We're not, hey, we want to be ahead of the curve. No, you have gifts. Joel was right, and Paul said it in Acts. In the latter days, the Spirit of God will be poured out on all flesh. Your young men and women will prophesy. We think women have gifts. They should use them in the local church.
Not everyone has the gift of teaching.
No.
but
some people think they do, but they don't.
But those that do, if they're not teaching, are they selfish? Are they what are they missing out on?
I think they're missing out. I'll use a weird word. I think they're using out on the experience, on affirmation. Okay. On this sense of, like, I'd been a Christian a month, maybe. And Brian Price was his name. He was a music and youth director, and heavy on the director. Okay. But he came over to me and he said, "Hey, Neil, would you like to teach Bible study?" And I didn't. What's Bible study?
Right.
And he said, "Well, just you pick a Bible verse that that really stood out to you, that you got something out of, and you explain to other people what you got out of it." And I remember him saying it in the fellowship. I was like, "Oh yeah, I read the Bible every night because I don't want to smoke weed anymore because I miss smoking weed sometimes." And I just think I would go to work, come home, take a shower, eat supper with my mom in front of the TV watching MASH, and my mom would be, "Oh well, that's enough for me." And my mom go sew or something, and I'd watch about another hour, and then I'd go to my room about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and read the Bible till midnight, 2 in the morning. So I'm circling and so 2 weeks later, I led a Bible study. And Brian Price walked over to me and he said, "Neil, man, the kids are just a buzz with how good they were, how they understood it." And then he said these faithful words to me, "Son, if God's calling you into ministry, don't run." That affirmation ruined me. Because I went home and just put my Bible on the shelf. I don't want any part of that. But And obviously God had other way. But you miss this affirmation, not as in, I just need to be affirmed.
Right.
But in, wait a minute, it's not just me.
Yeah.
God, because, man, I would be like, in church looking around like, is this the greatest thing you've ever heard? And people are like, yeah, well, I'll tell you what, preacher better be done by noon. Cowboys kicking off. They're going to be hell to pay. And I was like, how do you think about that in light of what the Bible say? And and again, the preaching wasn't that good. The Bible was explosive to me.
Yeah.
And so, I think people that have the gift and bury it in the ground, you're missing out on not just, I'm not talking about horizontal affirmation. Yeah. That's part of it. But this vertical affirmation comes from where God says, this is while you're breathing. This is it for you. This is, Like, I you know, last time I cried?
Do tell.
Last night.
Okay.
10:15, my wife's sound asleep. I'm flipping channels, and I come across the Coast Guard, the story about the Coast Guard swimmer that saved 168 people. And not that story. I've cried. I haven't cried all I can over that, but they said he left a career in finance to join the Coast Guard. And I put my arms up on my couch and just wept. I was like, yes, you did. And what would have happened if that man would have stayed in finance? Cash in big checks, much bigger than you make in the Coast Guard.
Yes.
Here's what I say to some women in our church. You're going to your job in finance, and you're cashing a big check. And God's calling you to join the Coast Guard and change people's lives, save lives.
Had he never gotten any accolades, my guess is he feels more alive now than he ever did with a suit and tie.
Here's what when the story first broke, here's what had me sobbing like a kitty. I'm a parent. Could you imagine your daughter saying, this man came out of a helicopter and got me out of the tree, Daddy?
Right. Yeah.
I was like, and the guys, and the press won't leave him alone. He's like, well, I have a team and the Coast Guard's what we do. And it's kind of what we do. And it's kind of what we do. And last night I was like, he never had to explain this in finance.
Right.
My sheet balances.
Yeah.
And no hate on accountants, but again, I just think we've got gifted, talented, capable women, and they've had years of bad theology layered on top of them. Yeah. And they've been told things, and you know, my wife had horrible experience. My wife went forward to surrender to ministry in her church, which is a good church. It's much better now that it's got a pastor who actually teaches the Bible, but I digress. They put it in the bulletin as a rededication.
Okay. We're going to let you know what you did.
Yeah. Okay. And she's like, I'm not living in sin, I'm surrendering to ministry. We're so afraid. Well, what are they going to think? I just don't want us to treat women in our church like we're managing all the other churches in Fort Bend County's opinion of us. I remember when we got deacons, when I started, we'd have deacons. And I said, look in the Bible and see who are deacons and what they do. And the 4 elders, me included, back then, 4 of us. And they said, one of them goes, well, there's a woman deacon in the Bible. Yeah, her name's Phoebe. Gulp. And he just kind of looked. And guys, either we believe the Bible or we don't.
Right. All of it or none of it.
Yeah, you can't say, I believe the Bible as long as it jives with religious subculture. Yeah. And a man walked up to me right over there. We were in this sanctuary. This room. And he said, I thought this was a conservative church. And I said, because I think I preached, and here's what I was just like, it is. Well, we've got women deacons. I was just like in the Bible. Yeah. And what I didn't say was that you haven't read the Bible is not my responsibility nor my fault.
So let me ask this. Are we does this put us on the path of liberal theology? Are we going to, is the next pastor going to be denying the Trinity?
No. Listen, we are right of Reagan. We're so conservative. Okay. And that's the thing, people... Yeah, I don't. It's not. Somebody. This is horribly offensive, by the way, but it didn't bother me. Believe it or not. I guess I don't know. I'm morbid. Somebody asked me years ago, "Do you believe what you believe about women in ministry because you're married to Marcy?" And I thought, oh, it's a great question. Kind of offensive because that means that I believe what I believe based on my wife.
As if your experience could be the only reason you believe something.
My wife would be offended by that. But I said, no, I wrote a paper in seminary, in 90 or 91. And my professor said, brother, I think you're right, but you're going to endure some hardship until the church at large catches up with where you are. And it's not like Neil's the head of the pack. I just would read the Bible.
Yeah.
And again, I've never said women should be pastors. There's never been a woman preacher on Sunday. I remember when we got elders, some man wanted us to put in writing, you're not going to have women elders. Why? The Bible already has. And I said to him, it's a characteristic of all cults. They have a body of literature that they put on the same authoritative level with the Bible. And if your church bylaws are that, you're a cult. The Bible says, let him be a husband but one wife.
Right.
Okay? We're not going to have women. We don't see that in Scripture. We see women deacons.
I want to circle back to, we mentioned earlier.
We're circling back. The
men stepping up. So just like we're talking about women with the teaching gift, like the Coast Guard swimmer, there might be more feeling alive than I'm currently feeling. There might be a guy who...
Oh, there's plenty.
Who's got a gift of mercy, a gift of helps.
A gift of teaching, a gift of mercy, a gift of giving.
And so getting into a second grade class, you might actually become fully alive.
Yes.
With 5-year-olds.
Oh. And to see the way they respond to you... It's just like right outside that door right there. We have I call it drama camps, theater camp or something going on here this week. And I said, that's all we need, more drama queens. And I thought it was, they say, we got a heads up. You might want to study at home this week. We got groups. A bunch of us are kids.
That's right.
And so I ran out of the corner. I didn't know that until I heard, Pastor Neil. And somebody said, Somebody said, does that get on your nerves? I said, are you kidding me? That's the sweetest sound I hear in a week, is a little kid going, oh, there's my pastor. I like the thought of the side of my pastor. It's incredibly humbling. And I see them in the crowd taking notes.
Yeah.
Which is, I hear Jesus in the back of my mind going, woe be unto any of you that makes one of these little ones stumble. It's better for you that a millstone be tied around your neck and you throw into the sea. So when those kids say, Pastor, now I'm not like, golly. I just think, I get to do this.
Yep.
But I think people don't, I use a weird word, that's a sense of wonder for me. That little kids get excited when they see you. Now, let's be honest. It's usually because I give them candy.
Well, the association.
There's association. Like you have a gumball machine in your office, and they're like, is Pastor Blake here? Do you want gum? Yes. But it's just a sense of, but I think people that aren't stepping into roles and volunteering where you're exposed to people or students or preschool or children or the bridge, you're missing out.
Yeah.
I don't have any other language for it.
Yep.
You're just missing out. Because if you're used to the way everybody at work relates to you and everybody in your home relates to you, you come here and it's like.
So that person's missing out and we're missing out on your gifts.
Yes.
We're emptier and weaker if you're not giving us, edifying us with a spirit put in you.
Yeah, just go to the softball/baseball complex and watch Johnny Williams walk around.
Okay, Johnny Williams is one of our long-term members. Just getting over liver cancer.
Yeah, just beating liver cancer, wearing a mask out there. Goes from one. I got one of my babies over here at field 4, and then I'm walking over to field 6, and Marcia out there one Saturday, and she's like, and I said, babe, leave Johnny alone.
Yeah.
He knows when he's getting overheated, he'll go home.
Yeah.
But those kids adore that man. And they're just like, I'm standing there talking to the mom and the kids walking towards us, and I kind of turned to bless him with my presence, and the kid just runs right by me and goes to Mr. Johnny. Yeah. And I look back and I was like, as it should be. And Johnny taught that little girl, I think 3 years ago.
Right.
It's not like she's in his class today.
Right.
It's just like he made such an impression.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the wonder we were created to get. And if you're not getting that, it's probably because you're not involved somewhere around here. And that's the thing about volunteering. It's not need-based. Not our need, it's your need.
That's right.
This is a podcast about women. Back to women.
That's right. So some of our more, I don't know what you would call it, read people on this subject might know something called the Danvers statement.
Oh, yes.
So if you don't know, don't feel bad. You'll be blessed now, but you're not missing what you think you might be. So what is the Danvers statement on gender roles in the church? What is this thing?
Yeah, what is the Danvers statement? I'm pulling out a copy of it because I have a copy. I've read it. I'm familiar with it. Blah, blah, blah. The Danvers statement, I think they met back in December of 87 in Danvers, Massachusetts. Still a fun fact. And then later in November of 88, it was ratified or accepted or whatever. Basically, they drafted, this sense of this. Here it is. It's just, here's the rationale, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, what's your question about the Danvers statement?
Danvers statement?
Am I aware of it? Yes.
This does not say women can't teach in the church.
No.
This is affirming something else. And so there are some distinctives between men and women.
Yes.
And
yes.
And so I guess I'll switch to, is our church, are we a complementarian church, egalitarian? What are we?
Well, first of all, you have to define those terms.
To define, yes.
Now, by the way, my daughter, when she was at Baylor, and this only happens to women, it doesn't happen to men.
Okay.
My daughter, my oldest Madison, very passionate, very gifted, very strong mind, keen mind, hungry. She's dating the guy that's now her husband. Okay. And his roommate said, "Hey, bro, you can't date her. She's an egalitarian." What loser college kids. I wanted to drive to Waco and choke this kid out. I was like, no, don't say that about my kid. And so Daniel, her husband, was a very sincere young man, was like, Madison, we need to talk. And he's all, and she smashed our lives.
As if she's for child slavery or something.
Did you rob banks in middle school? Right. And she's like, no, I'm a complementarian. I grew up in a complementarian. Are you kidding me? Yeah. But if a woman is passionate and gifted, she must be egalitarian. Now, before we say those words anymore, I'll give you I just scratched down what I call a layperson definition for these two things. Basically, complementarian and egalitarian is a complementarian believes that men and women are equal in personhood, but created for different roles. Okay, that's my boiled it down. Egalitarian believes men and women are equal in personhood, but there's no gender-based limitations on roles for men and women. In other words, a man can be a pastor, a woman can be a pastor, whatever. I'm a complementarian. My wife is a complementarian. My girls are complementarian. Our church is complementarian because the Bible teaches that. It's not like Republican, not like political affiliation. Well, I'm going to be independent. No, I'm going to start my own third party. No, it's that's just the way. And Madison's like, what? No, I don't. No, you tell your roommates to hush. No, but if a woman is passionate and gifted, that's the accusation. Oh, you probably want to. I said, Madison, how often did his roommates use the word probably? And she said, a lot. Yeah, because they've never asked me.
If they just asked anyway.
Well, if I ask, then I have to repent of what I've thought about you. I don't want to know the truth. I'd rather live with my accusation of you. That's just human nature. But the Danvers statement, here's the thing about the people that are red people, as you call them, Danvers statement. I'll just read. And when it comes to matters of faith, for us, the Bible is the sole authority. We don't consult the Danvers statement.
Right.
But here's my... Here's my problem with the Danvers statement. This is the Danvers statement on biblical manhood and womanhood, right there in my hand. Okay. The Danvers statement summarizes the need for the counsel on biblical manhood and womanhood and serves as an overview of our core beliefs. Hear that again. The Danvers statement summarizes the need for the counsel on biblical manhood and womanhood. I just have a real simple question, and it's simply this, okay? If the Danvers statement summarizes the need of the counsel of biblical manhood and womanhood, which is what it says about itself, for me that's circular logic, but I digress. Here's why we need to exist. Okay, that's great. So how does your need to exist become the standard for my church? And again, I'm not disrespecting the Danvers statement. Right. I'm sure it's good work. I do think that it's interesting. Like point number 4, this is their rationale. We have been moved in our purpose by the following contemporary developments, which we observe with deep concern. Number 4, the widespread ambivalence regarding the values of motherhood, vocational homemaking, and the many ministries historically performed by women. Is that all women can perform? Vocational homemaking and motherhood? I said this one time and I got in trouble. I said, girls, you can do more than make babies and potato salad. But the Danvers statement comes really close. It's like, hey, you women are getting out of the house and getting out there and making money. There's a lady in our church that said, I have a problem with any woman that works outside the home. Okay. And I just chuckled. I said, you really can't say. I mean, you can say that, but biblically, that you can't make a case for that. You can't support that biblically. No, you can't.
And so the Danvers statement is a reaction to something they're experiencing in culture.
Yes.
Well, go on. Yes.
Number 5, the growing legitimacy of sexual relationships which have biblically and historically been considered illicit or perverse, and the increase in pornographic portrayal of human sexuality. This is a sin issue, fellas, not a men and women issue. But, the Danvers statement summarizes the need for the Council on Biblical Manhood and Womanhood. Hey, we got porns running rampant because women are getting out of the home. That's what some people think they're trying to say.
Yeah.
Because it's point number 4 and point number 5. Or how about point number 7? The emergence of roles for men and women in church leadership that do not conform to biblical teaching, but backfire in the crippling of biblically faithful witness. Again, many of the contexts in which we're talking about didn't even exist back then. Or here's my last thing I'll say about the Danvers statement, which I have all pages of it. Council members. Joshua Harris, pastor, Covenant Life Church, Gaithersburg, Maryland.
What is he doing now?
What's Josh Harris doing now?
He's a...
no, wait. He wrote, first of all, I Kissed Dating Goodbye.
Yep.
That's where some of you homeschoolers made your kids read
That's
it.
Right.
Go ahead. You've got to marry your cousin. It's a joke, homeschoolers. Don't email me. Go ahead. What's Josh Harris doing now? He wrote a great book. He pastored a church he got from his father-in-law.
He deconstructed his faith. Now I think he's a speaker on the speaker circuit. I don't know what he's doing. I'm not kept up with him. But
does he renounce Christianity?
He probably renounces biblical manhood and womanhood.
Yes. Paige Patterson was on the board of references. How did he do at Southwestern Seminary?
He might have a rap sheet, maybe.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now, God rest his soul. John MacArthur died yesterday.
Yes.
Okay, he was on the board of reference. John MacArthur said 3.5 years ago at a Shepherd's Conference that when a man marries a woman, he rescues her. He rescues her from an unfulfilled life.
At some point, people should just put the mic down and just keep those thoughts to yourself.
I sent that.
Marcy?
I sent that.
You're welcome?
Yes. I sent it to her an email, and the subject line just said, "You're welcome." And she just wrote back, "I have no words." Now, by the way, this is my wife. I'm going to say this.
Yeah.
This happened at seminary. Where my wife was like, "What are you doing here?" I feel called to ministry. I want to be fully prepared and equipped for that. Well, you want to preach? You want to pastor a church? And she's like, "No, I want to do whatever God's put in my heart to do." Right now, I'm chaplain at a children's hospital. And a guy said to her out loud with his mouth, "Don't you think a woman's cycle makes her too unstable for ministry?" And she said, "Have you met my boyfriend?" Which was me.
Which is you, yeah. Funny you bring up cycles. This guy.
Yes, this multiple personality. Yeah. But the things we say to women.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I just said, "Oh, babe, I'm so sorry." This also happened. My wife, who's the most modest person I've ever met in my life, my wife, who wore a skirt down to her knees one day to class, a classmate that I knew, a guy I knew, came up to me and said, "Hey, you better tell your little lady, you watch what she's wearing." And I was like, "What?" And I didn't go correct her. I just said, "Hey, by the way, so-and-so said this." And Marcia just went to him and said, "First of all, I'm not his little lady. I'm not his property. We're not married. And you can come to me as your sister in Christ. Now, if you have an issue with lust or pornography, that's not my responsibility. But my skirt is down past my knees." But again, men make women responsible for their struggle.
You mentioned...
We are the Taliban before the Taliban existed.
Okay. Now, you might want to... Yes. Let's just let that sink in.
Yeah.
If we are so against Taliban being oppressive...
Oh, yeah, you oppress women. Y'all got to cover yourself because we can't stand to look at you because we want to have sex with all of you. Yeah. This happened at seminary. And my wife endured it with a smile on her face. And the whole, "Doesn't your cycle make you unstable for ministry?" She just...
This is not the oil rig. This is seminary.
That's seminary.
Where Baptist seminary.
Grad school
not
for preachers.
Liberal Presbyterians. Okay.
Yeah. And not them Presbyterians. Good Lord. Them Whiskey-Pallions. The people who see each other, recognize each other at Specs, you know. The Baptists don't recognize each other there.
That's right. I was going to PetSmart. I don't know what I was doing here.
People, again, men in Protestant Baptist world have treated women horribly. We should stand up sometime and just say, "Please forgive." This is the last thing I'll just say. Stream of consciousness. The Southern Baptist Convention, by the way, they had to do with the Ethics Committee on Religious Life or whatever, because they had to pay legal fees because they were getting sued for sexual assault cases from the past. They had to sell their building. Yeah. And I'm like, what? And so they had all these sexual scandals where men took advantage of women. And then the next year they go to the convention and they draft a resolution that any church, this is their response. Any church that has women on staff that has pastor in their title, we're going to kick you out of the convention. Hey, fellas, how about this? How about you get all these perverted men to stop objectifying and sexually abusing women? How about that?
Yeah.
But no, let's pin it on the women. So if I'm a woman and I grew up in the Baptist church, I'm low-grade angry about all of this. But I admit one. My wife has a great phrase, because I have 2 daughters that are now in ministry. Both of them will be in seminary in the fall.
Yeah.
Okay, if you see me on the side of the road picking up cans, bring your empties.
It's not cheap. It's not free.
Yeah. But my wife has said this. She tell them stories, and they're like, oh, Mom, what did you say? And Marcy just very calmly, she said, hey, girls, look at me. You let the gospel be the loudest thing in your mouth. You're not responsible for the ignorance of men.
And that's in every area of life. Area. Yeah, every area.
You let the gospel be the loudest thing in your mouth.
Yeah. You mentioned that she was working as a chaplain at a kids' hospital.
Children's hospital.
I can't think of very few experiences that are
Kerrville every day.
On the regular, difficult,
Kerrville every day.
Heartbreaking. Yes.
We got married, and she was still working. I couldn't, because when people do stuff to little kids get hurt. I want to hurt people.
Yeah.
And so I want to hit something. And I was like, you can't tell me. My wife saw children die every way imaginable. Yeah. And here's the thing that blew me away, is that she had moments with God where she was like, I can't get my head around this. Not you're not good, you don't exist, but she never spit the bit on her faith. She always represented God accurately and well, and I just couldn't do that. I would not have made it in that environment. But countless deaths. While coming to class, while she's doing ministry, and I'm preparing for ministry, and my grandparents gave me $30,000 to live on this year, and don't you think your cycle makes you unstable? And on her left was the guy who said, hey, I'm going to cut class on Wednesday. Can you, when the tennis sheet comes around, sign me in? That's a quote. Yeah. He's still in ministry. I have no integrity. And Marcy said, no, I'm not going to lie for you. And my wife, just as a woman, had to endure that. Yeah. And come wear prayer skirts up to her armpits and down to her ankles so men wouldn't stumble. It's sometimes embarrassing to be a man, if I'm just frank about it.
Because of that. Embarrassed for
the Taliban, the Baptist Taliban.
Yeah. That's how we refer to this behavior from now on. Let's talk about the role of elder.
Yes.
The scripture restricts this to men.
Yes.
How do we make sense of that? Are all men eligible to be elders?
Yes, all men are eligible. First of all, what do you mean, how do we make sense of that?
So why does the scripture restrict? Now, this alone is for a man, not for a woman.
Because I do not allow women to have authority over a man. It's an office of ministry.
It's not a cultural one-time setting.
No. Yes. It's a timeless truth. It's not this situational prohibition or however your language what was going on in Ephesus. Yeah, like when a woman teaches, like on Sunday morning Bible study, a woman teaches, like a lady taught out. Loris Glover taught out in the warehouse on Sunday. I was walking around. She's not having authority over people. That's a platform of responsibility, not an office of authority. Yeah, that's the difference. Elders, we had an elder meeting the other night. Yep. I mean, after church on Sunday, we met Brandon Freilich, Brandon Lindsay. He's in the leadership pipeline, and we said, it's a responsibility. It's a weight. You have to know things, and you don't talk about it, and you have to pray for things, and not talk about it. We're just asking the Lord, give us direction around this, and blah blah blah. And so that is an office of ministry, and they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to make some changes in our life, because they understand. Oh, you're taking on a weight of responsibility that this authority, this office, this role of elder, it is. And again, why are just men? Why don't we have women? Because we don't see women elders in the Bible.
In the Bible, it's not there.
We just come to the Bible as elders at Grand Parkway and say, what does the Bible say?
How do we evaluate and prepare men in the pipeline to be elders?
Yeah, we as elders, we look for people that are all doing the work of an elder.
Okay, already shepherding, caring for people.
Yeah, shepherding, caring. Do they meet the qualifications? And one of the last things we look and listen for, because Scripture says if a man desires to be an elder, he desires a noble task. Do they desire this? Yeah. Like this happened. We started off with 5 in the pipeline. Now we have 4. And it's because BD, as I call him, Brett Daniels, he just realized, hey, you know what? This office of authority comes with a responsibility that where I am at work and home, I got 2 little kids, I shouldn't take this on right now. And I respected his decision.
That's him having integrity.
I
shouldn't stun my nose and look at him like, oh, you big wimp. He couldn't hack it.
Man up, ladybug. Yeah. No, he was like, he was being a husband and a father and an employee and saying, I can't give to that what it needs. Because that's that
and he wasn't going to shortcut it and cheat it.
No, he wasn't just going to go through the motions and say, now I'm in the room where all decisions get made.
Yeah.
No, and I say that on this podcast. I want people thinking, no, wait a minute. That guy stood up and you said he's becoming. No, he took himself out a couple months ago.
Yeah.
He just said, hey, guys, I need to bow out.
Yeah.
The more I've talked about it, prayed about it, talked to my wife, I respect that.
Yeah. Give us some granularity, and you've talked around it some, between the pastor preaching and a man or a woman teaching at kids, at students, maybe adult men and women co-ed class.
Yeah.
How are those two things distinct?
Well, the two things are distinct, but also the environment in which they happen is distinct. Okay. The two things are distinct because preaching is authoritative. It's you're standing on a platform before people, and it is thus saith the Lord. It is proclamatory.
It's not a TED Talk. Here's
it's
three ideas.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is thus saith the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that people that teach in different settings, they don't use the Bible or whatever. But that's that's teaching.
Mm-hmm.
That's interactive. That's like, hey, and what do you think? And blah, 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 blah. And okay, let's stop down and have two good questions. Who'll ask the first one?
Mm-hmm.
It's totally different. And so that is the gathered church.
Yep.
And that environment is governed by elders. Okay. There's people that participate, they use their gifts in there, but it is governed by our elders. We say our pastors and our elders be down front after. Some of our elders be down front afterwards. Teaching, this is okay. This could be a man, it could be a woman, it could be a couple, it can be, and it's more didactic. It's back and forth, and it's not proclamatory. It's not a worship service.
Yep.
It's a teaching opportunity.
Yep.
That is a platform of authority. This is a platform of responsibility. I have a gift, and I'm responsible for using my gift to edify the church and to equip the saints for the work of ministry.
Yeah. Do we require all our people in teaching roles to have a gift of teaching?
It's good that they do. I don't know that you can say, do you have the gift of teaching? I don't know, because you don't want to sound arrogant and go, hey, don't
Put
question
on this
me.
paper, we'll analyze it and see.
I have the gift of teaching, don't question me. No, but it's helpful. Teachers see the world through a different lens. I'll say it like that.
Yeah.
Here's how you know you have the gift of teaching.
Yeah.
You see the world through a different lens. Like if I was going to teach you about the love of God, the Father, I wouldn't give you Wayne Grudem's systematic theology, big blue. We call it the big blue book, and say, "Here you go, read this and tell me about the love of God." No, what I would say was, "Hey, Blake, did you see down that Disney cruise? This kid fell off the fourth story into the water, into the ocean, and the dad just saw what happened, realized his daughter couldn't swim, and just jumped in as reflex, not labor. I don't want to do this. Here, hold my iPhone." Brother just jumped in from the fourth story of the cruise ship, got his daughter and held her, went underwater, come back. I'm just like, can you imagine hitting the water, how far you go down when you jump from 4 stories, and how fast you're trying to kick to the surface and then find your kid. Got his daughter and said, "Daddy's here, Daddy's here, Daddy's here." And I'm like, and Marcy, I'm watching the news, and Marcy goes, "Dinner's ready." And I'm like, "Give me a minute." And she's like, "Babe, are you okay?" I'm like, oh. That's the way God loves his people.
Yeah.
And so a teacher just sees it and naturally puts things together in a way that people see it, more clearly than they ever have.
Yeah.
That's how you know you have the gift of teaching.
Yeah. Let's go through some parting things here. So if a person is listening and they're thinking, hey, I can't go to a church that has women teaching men. What do you say to that person?
I've got standard. I would say you've chosen a really unbiblical standard upon which to leave a really good church. Because there's no biblical, it's like one thing, it's not salvific.
Yeah.
That the hill you want to die on? And who are you doing this for? All your buddies from seminary or your friend, like, I can't go to a woman. I would just say this, don't go to that class. You cannot go to a class.
Yeah.
And I'll say this, some of those gifted teachers in our church are women. I won't say names because they'll get mad at me, but wildly gifted, able, and they're not trying to usurp authority and have authority. They're just like, hey, I have a gift. With that gift comes responsibility.
Yeah.
You know who Steve Prefontaine is?
Yes.
Yes, the long
Oregon.
distance runner from Oregon.
Yeah.
Somebody, they saw him. He had a little tweak in his hamstring or something. And he said, "Yeah, I'm going to run." And they said, "Dude, why you push yourself so hard?" And he said, "To give less than my best is to insult the gift."
Mm-hmm. And he's not necessarily a believer.
No, he's not a believer.
But he understands something.
He understood.
Yes.
To give less than my best is to insult the gift.
That's for a believer. That's doubly
it's
conviction.
Triple.
Yes.
It's like. So I would just say that to all men and women. This is not a women's rights rally. Okay, this is calling all men and women that are gifted to teach. We, your church, want to equip you, help you, teach you, give you opportunity and feedback. You're not going to teach every Sunday. It's a rotation. Right. You'll be able to live your life. But we want our church to look like the kingdom. We don't want to take our cues from the religious subculture. I grew up, and you probably grew up in a church that deacons ran the church too, along with the pastor. Another unbiblical idea the Baptists love. But we don't look around at other churches and see what they're doing. We look into the biblical text. We don't look at the Nicene Creed. We use these creeds in worship, but we don't look at the Danvers statement and go, what? No. What do you see in the text?
The person who's thinking, I bet I know where this is coming from. I bet women are talking to Neil saying, I want to teach.
No, women are like, I don't want to teach. Gifted women that can teach don't want to teach. And here's one of the reasons why. And this will stop. I promise you as a pastor, this will stop. Okay. Some men ask questions to make a point or to expose these women's lack of knowledge.
Embarrass them.
And it's got nothing to do with what they taught.
That's not good for any teacher.
It's not good for any teacher. It's pathetic. And I'm like, a couple of names, I'm like, who's in that class? Why don't you just take him aside after and say, hey, what you did today was inappropriate, and don't do it again. Because if you do it again, you'll forfeit the right to be part of this class. It's not about, you're like the women in Ephesus. You're making it all about you. Hey, let me raise my hand and make a point. No, don't. Because I pray that I get asked to teach Sunday school and someone does that. Or if I'm just in there and someone does it, I'm just like, stop right there. Why are you asking this question? You're asking this question, why do you feel threatened by her gifts? She doesn't feel threatened by you. She hears men teach all the time. Yeah. But again, women are so much more gracious than men. Men are passive aggressive and, let me ask a question to make a point, little missy. And I'm like, oh, could you be more sexist? Just stop.
To a husband who's listening, who knows his wife has a teaching gift.
Yes.
What do you say to that man?
What do I say to the man?
Yeah.
I think I wrote down a Bible verse around this question. So it wouldn't just be me. Let me see if I can find it here somewhere among all my notes here. You sent me a lot of questions.
I know. This is number 8. It's number 9, the last one.
Number 9.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's what I would say. I would say what Paul said to Timothy in 2 Timothy chapter 1. He said, I'm reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that dwelt first in your grandmother Lois and your mother Eunice. By the way, who's Timothy's father?
Unnamed. We don't know. He certainly wasn't influenced like those two ladies were.
Thank you. Yeah. That's all. And your mother Eunice, and now I'm sure dwells in you as well. Here's what I would say. For this reason, I remind you to fan into a flame the gift of God which is in you through the laying on of my hands. For God gave us a spirit not of fear, but of power and of love and of self-control. If you're a man married to a woman who has a teaching gift, you should put your hands on your wife's head or on your wife's shoulders and say, honey, look at me. You should say, hey, kids, come on. We're going to lay hands on mom and pray. Mom's teaching this Sunday, and we want to pray for her. Because mom has the gift of teaching, and God's using mommy to teach other people about Jesus. And you just say, I'm laying my hands on you. I want to fan into a flame the gift of God. This little pilot light's not enough. We need this thing to be a flame, this gift that's in you. I don't want you to have any fear. I want you to be an example of power and love and self-control. That's what, if I'm a man married to a woman, and by the way, I'm a man married to a gifted woman who can teach. That's what I pray for my wife. That's what I pray for my girls.
And it's not just the gift of teaching. We went fan into flame. Any man, well, my wife doesn't have gift of teaching. I don't have to do this. No, we want you need to be praying.
What is her gift?
Yeah.
What is her gift? Because it doesn't say fan into a flame the gift of teaching. It says fan into a flame the gift of God which is in you.
Yeah. So any.
And the way I fan into a flame is by the laying on of hands. And I hear people, laying on the hands. No, don't really, just don't be that guy.
Right. You're not in middle school anymore.
Everything's an innuendo. Grow up. But you just imagine if every man that heard this podcast went home and said to his wife, hey, I want to lay my hands on you in a prayerful way. And I want to pray that through my laying on, I'm asking God to fan into a flame the gift of God that's in you. Do you have a sense of what it is? No. Well, I want you to have a sense of what it is, because I want you to experience the affirmation and the power that comes from that. Because I want you to understand power and love and self-control. Let me pray. I don't care if your kids are 4. Hey, we're going to pray for mom, or we're going to pray for daddy. Or mommy and daddy are going to pray for our son. Son, you got a spiritual gift in you. We want God to fan it into a flame. Otherwise, you're tossed to and fro by whatever invitation you get for this weekend.
My last one. What do you say to the women? So this will go out in a email. So someone got this email. They're listening, and so the women listening right now, whom the Spirit has gifted them, some with teaching, some with all other kind of gifts. What do you say to those? And He's placed them in this congregation. Okay. What do you say to those women?
I would say that both of those things, you being gifted and you being placed in this congregation, happen for a reason. And so use your gifts for the glory of God, the equipping of the saints, and the good of the church.
Yeah. Amen. Any final things on you? That's a good enough place to stop. But you got one more thing burping out of you.
No, I don't think I do. I'm not going to say that. I don't know whatever it is. I'm just a biblicist. I believe the Bible. I want our church to live in submission to the Bible, not look around and go, what is that famous preacher's church doing? What is that? What do we understand the Bible to teach? That's all. There's no agenda here. Women aren't going, hey, advocate for us. Women are stepping back and kind of going, it's not comfortable. I don't enjoy teaching a co-ed class because men are snippy and make comments. And I'm like, no, that won't happen here anymore. Because again, you're like the women in the church in Ephesus. You're disruptive and you're controlling. You're trying to usurp authority. And that's not godly. But we are at our best as the church when everybody's operating out of their gift. That's all we're saying.
And we've not been there quite yet, probably.
No, we're not there. We haven't gotten there.
So we haven't experienced the fullness of
the church. Here. Let me be the first person to say this. The church is not everybody come and watch Pastor Neil exercise his gift. The church is, let's all come, and when we come, let's all be prepared to exercise our gift. That's when the church happens.
Amen. That's a great place to stop. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And subscribe to this podcast. You won't miss an episode when it comes out. Now, if someone came to mind during this conversation and you think they would be encouraged, they would be instructed, they might be convicted, they might be mad by its content, send them a link. It's like, listen to this and let's talk about it. And,
sure.
And if you're the husband of a wife with teaching gifts, or a husband of a wife with any gift of the Spirit, do the very thing we've talked about here. Pray for that to be fanned the flame. If your friend with someone here at our congregation and they've got gifts, you're saying, I think these are not being used. Same thing. Pray and talk to them. If you're the parents of a child, they have gifts. They've come to faith in Christ. They have gifts. And so this is really what we want. We want this gift for sure, but all the gifts to be fanned into flame. As you participate in our worship services and think, I don't understand this. I need more clarity. I think this is wrong. I read that Danvers statement. That's not where this came from. But anything where I've got theological and doctrinal questions, send them to me. We'll do our best to incorporate them in Circling Back. Most of them relate to our sermons. So last thing, thank you for listening. We'll do our best to address them the next time we circle back.